Anyway, let's move on to the next subject. Let's talk about the Xbox Developer Direct. Okay, this happened literally, I think it was yesterday or the day before. Okay, recently. Actually, no, it was yesterday. I'm sorry. So, recently happened. It was interesting. It was cool because we saw new games, new Xbox games. We saw brand new stuff. Obviously, the big one right here, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. The first look at it was awesome. Okay. Some people said it was just okay. I don't think so. I actually was hyped about this. This looks really cool. Some of the other stuff that we get to see, Hellblade 2, Senua's Saga. We got to see a little bit of Avowed. We got to see a little bit of Visions of Mana. And also Aura History Untold, which if out of all the games, Aura is the one that I probably don't care about the most. It's probably a game that's just kind of there, but it doesn't bother me. It's not like it's a bad thing happening, but it's just not my cup of tea. With Visions of Mana, again, I like the Mana series. It's cool. But again, I'm not hyped up for it compared to what I am for other games. Avowed is the one that I thought actually looked pretty interesting. So Avowed, if you didn't see the developer direct, if you don't know anything about Avowed, Avowed is a first-person game that's kind of like Skyrim in the sense where it's a fantasy setting, but this one is really centered around a little bit more magic and stuff, and it seems really interesting, okay? It's being done by Obsidian. If you know Obsidian Entertainment, you know about the, what is it? Oh my God, not the Outer Wilds. No, I think it's the Outer Worlds. I believe it is one of the games that they made. But Obsidian has done a lot of stuff. They also did KOTOR 2, which is pretty cool. We love KOTOR 2 out here. At least some people do. But the point is that they're doing a fantasy game. It's first person, it's got magic, and it looks awesome. Okay, which looks really cool. Now, hopefully, this is available day one on Game Pass, so I can download it because I think it would be amazing. But also, when we start getting into games like Hellblade 2, Senua's Saga. Now, I love the original Hellblade. I thought that the first Hellblade game was actually really cool. It was a shorter game. It was about 5 or so hours, maybe less than that. It had to deal with Senua and a lot of her, like, schizophrenia, I think it is. But, like, she's hearing voices all the time and stuff. And the game and the visuals really played around with that, where you're fighting enemies that look otherworldly, but they're not necessarily, like, as, like, fantastical as what they are in reality. Compared to, they're not as fantastical in reality as they are compared to what's in Senua's mind, which I thought was really interesting because she's based in reality, but with her mind, things are all over the place and she's going through a lot of turmoil and facing a lot of challenges and trials and stuff. And I thought that was pretty cool the way that they did that. So with Senua's Saga, the second game in it, it seems like they're doing more of that. Probably, hopefully, fingers crossed, a little bit longer as far as like the game duration, how much time we're playing it. But it seems pretty cool, and I dig it. And I'm curious to see where they go with the story because, again, they really played around with a lot of interesting ideas that ended up working very well for that first game. And with this one, I hope they really go to the distance and actually do something. So that being said, though, let's talk about this bad boy right here, okay? Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Now, I love Indiana Jones, like many other people. This was the first time we got to see this game, so I was really excited, and I was not disappointed. I thought that Indiana Jones and the Great Circle was actually really freaking cool. We not only get some gameplay, first-person gameplay, we also got some gameplay that's third-person. When you're going around different obstacles and there's cutscenes and stuff, you're seeing that all in third-person, which I like. Being an Indiana Jones fan, we want to see Indy, even though we know we're playing it as Indy, which is obviously a big thing for many people. But here's the cool kicker out of all this stuff. Some of the big things with this gameplay, especially in the combat, is the tools and some of the things you're going to be doing. So obviously we got the hand-to-hand combat. Obviously we got gunplay. This is Machine Games. They made the Wolfenstein series, so you're fighting Nazis. So it's like ideal for them to develop this game. But you get to use the whip in multiple ways, which is awesome, okay? So the whip for Indiana Jones, okay? Indiana Jones, he can not only use the whip to traverse obstacles, to swing around, to climb up obstacles or walls, but he could also use it to fight other people, that like some of his enemies that are coming at him. You could whip them, you could hit them directly, you could actually throw them to the ground, but also they have these stealth sections, okay, where you could use the whip as a distraction to actually get the attention of a guard, like in some other spot, and then sneak up on them. That stuff to me is pretty cool because it's a clever way that we don't really see a lot used in the movies for Indiana Jones, but it sounds like a smart idea. And from the way that they actually showed it in the trailer, I thought was awesome. I thought that was really cool. It makes me excited to check out more of this game. I mean, they showed some big moments in the reveal trailer, which you got Indy running around between different, like, actual airplanes that are taking off. You got him fighting Nazis. You got him, like, actually using puzzles or using objects for puzzles. So, obviously, there's an archaeology bit to Indiana Jones, where it's not just all fighting. It's not like Wolfenstein in the way where all of it is about that action. But with this one, being Indiana Jones, you'll be able to solve puzzles, raid ruins, and do all this other stuff. That seems really authentic. That seems a lot of fun. Okay, so I'm looking forward to it. I think that Machine Games was the right developer for this. And they got the likeness of Harrison Ford, but they have Troy Baker doing the voice, which I thought was really interesting. Because when I first saw Indy in the trailer, I was like, there's no way. They don't tell me that they actually got Harrison Ford to do the voice. Or they got Harrison Ford involved in this game in some way, which, by the way, PR over at Machine Games or at Xbox, do what you need to do to pay Harrison Ford to come help you market this game, because that would be golden. You kidding me? Like, that would be like the most perfect thing you could do. Besides that, however, Troy Baker is doing the voice of Indiana Jones, and he sounds almost alike Harrison Ford. Like, he's almost too perfect for it. Like, it almost tricked me for like a brief bit until somebody told me that it was Troy Baker. And I was like, you know something? That's pretty cool, because I'm not caught up on it being Troy Baker. I'm caught up in it feeling like Indiana Jones, which is great. So that's an awesome thing to see. But overall, as a whole, the Xbox Developer Direct had stuff to show. Like I said, the one thing that I just did not care for during the Direct was Aura, History Untold. That was probably the one spot out of the entire presentation that I checked out on, because it's not up my alley. Okay, I know it's an RTS, it has a lot of strategy stuff to it, but it's not up my alley, not anything that I really care for. They even say here on the IGN article, if you care about the Civilization franchise or the series, if you played those type of games, that might be up your alley. But for me, it doesn't bother me whatsoever. It doesn't look bad, but it's like whatever. It's just kind of there. And the same thing with Visions of Mana. Like, I like the Mana series, but again, compared to the other 3 games that we talked about, I wasn't as excited for this, because it's cool. I'll probably get to it one day, but I definitely want to play Avowed. I definitely want to play Hellblade 2, and I definitely want to play Indiana Jones. All 3 of those games I felt like made the show for me, which is pretty cool. It wasn't like an E3 conference, but for a direct presentation compared to like what you get from like a State of Play or a Nintendo Direct, this was pretty cool for Xbox. I thought it was pretty good for what it was. Wasn't garbage, thank God, which is awesome. So that being said, though, tell me some of your favorite things from the Xbox Developer Direct. Do you feel like it was a good presentation? Any one of those games that you're actually really excited about? Which game are you going to get day one? That's the biggest thing. And I'm not talking about day one Game Pass, because we all know if you have an Xbox, especially if you got Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, you're probably going to get any of these games day one if they show up on Game Pass. Like, that's just a given, right? And they'd be very smart to put a lot of these games on Game Pass day one, especially Indiana Jones, especially Avowed. I understand that there's a whole economic thing that goes with it and judging whether they do or don't, but still, get those games on Game Pass and people will be excited, okay? But tell me your thoughts about all this stuff down below in the comments section.